Welcome to Get Out of Your Own Way, the Masterclass interview series on how to eliminate the beliefs, excuses, and distractions that are keeping you from tackling your most ambitious goals. I am your host, Stephanie Ray, the Accountability Evangelist. I help accountable people achieve their most ambitious goals so they can live a life of fulfillment and make a tremendous positive impact on the lives of the people they choose to serve. Today, I am featuring Natalia Berdikian. Natalia is a founder and chief energy officer of Life by Design Academy, a consulting and coaching firm that helps individuals and organizations grow to full potential beyond existing borders and boundaries. Natalia is originally from Moscow, Russia, and has lived in the USA, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, and Germany. She has over 20 years of experience in building businesses in various sectors and geographies. Her strength is always challenging the status quo, embracing and managing change. Natalia, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie. It's a pleasure.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad you joined us for this summit, and your topic is excellent. And before we get to it, though, we want to start with you telling a bit about more about your story as much as you'd like to in the context of how you have gotten out of your own way.
That's a good one. It all starts with a personal story, right? So, and how I got out of my own way. I think it started back in the childhood. And by 16, I went from Soviet Union, as you mentioned, to US. And I lived in four different families in one school year. I went to two schools. So speaking of change, I would
Wow.
say since then, if not before that, change became sort of a kind of a second nature to me. And with that, I lived afterwards 20 years in Europe in different countries. So that was Holland, mentioned, Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Germany, and it was all lots of fun. And one might say it might be a little bit much, but I moved 22 times, and it's sort of like a life circumstance. It's not about running away from anything. It's actually going to. It's circumstantial, and the thing is how to take the circumstances, because one can think there's plenty of opportunities, and I might say that I've met so many beautiful people. I made friends in every single country and city I lived in, which was quite a number of them, and it's a beautiful experience, very, very empowering. So that sense of getting out of the comfort zone or becoming comfortable in discomfort. So the discomfort is no longer a hassle. It's actually a place of learning and developing, and place of lots of opportunities, and we'll talk about it from the energetic standpoint later on. So getting out of my way, yeah, countries, geographies, different languages. I never thought I'd speak four languages when I was back in high school in Moscow. Somehow it did happen, so hallelujah. Working in different cultures, different industries, different businesses, and it's all been such a beautiful journey. And like again I said, sometimes you start when you actually have no idea what you're doing, and getting out of your way, understanding that it is all for personal growth and development, and there's a lot out there, and it's all just given to you. You can just go and take it instead of going into your shelf. That is the most beautiful gift of life, I find.
Oh, for sure. So in your journey, that's very inspirational, I think, to others who maybe have some wanderlust and like to travel. Obviously, you've had a lot of experience with that, and you started at such a young age. So, did you always have a mindset of get out of my comfort zone, or was there something that happened that convinced you that you needed to do that in order to grow?
I always believe there is more out there, and in many senses. I mean, one may believe in astrology, in the fifth dimensional world, in life after death, and all the rest of it. I always believed there is much more potential that I'm actually using, and the same for other people. And I didn't get into psychology while I even read it, but I didn't really get into it until I started with core energy coaching, which I find absolutely fascinating. Really getting to that core, the core of our thoughts and emotions and actions, and seeing where that magical, mysterious full potential actually sits. So I think it's that belief that there's always more out there, there's further than the horizon we see, and I believe it's true, and I lived it. So yeah.
That's great. So is that what led you, that philosophy and perspective that lead you to the area of energy management, or how did that become the place that you focused?
I actually go a long way. I come from corporate background, and I've been in business development for 20 plus years. Always worked with many different countries, and also ran a business together with my partner. And coming to building Life by Design Academy and helping entrepreneurs and leaders to grow beyond their borders and boundaries came up while I was standing on top of Machu Picchu, reflecting on the purpose of life and the meaning that it has, and that mysterious full potential that at least I knew I have more to give. And it was sort of that need to give back that, somehow took over, let's say. And I found core energy leadership, and it resonated so much because, I mean, we all know energy attracts like energy, and everybody talks about the law of attraction, the manifestations and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, everything is energy. It's, the higher you resonate, the more flow you have, and the more abundance, the easier things become, and it's a natural flow. So I find it absolutely fascinating. I'm happy to share it with you today.
Wonderful. Well, let's do that now.
All right, where do you want to start?
Well, maybe you can tell us about the energy levels so we get kind of a grounding in the basics.
Certainly. So I'd start with the type of energy. So there are two types of energy, and energy is basically, again, is at the core of what your thoughts and emotions, and what drives your emotions and actions as well. So the energy, there are two types. There's anabolic, that is this building force, it's constructive, it's healing, it's where all the good stuff is, where you're full of energy, and it's not only about hitting all the targets and crossing stuff off your to-do list, but it's really getting into the flow where that passion sits, where you think there is no fear, or you don't think there is no fear, you have a sense of collaboration. That's where all those great leaders are. Not only they're charismatic, but they have that vision, they have that passion, they're connected to their purpose. And they're fearless, and it's all about not only creating opportunities, but really living everything the world has to offer and everything that there is out there, because abundance is always there. We just too stagnant with all the limiting beliefs, and we don't see stuff to actually go and get it. So that's the anabolic one, and it also creates those anabolic chemicals that actually create that endorphins and dopamines in the body, and that's why we actually feel uplifted. So it is a physical thing, it's energy is physics. And then we have the catabolic type of energy, that is draining, disruptive energy that releases catabolic chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, and it also eats from your body cells. So you might imagine that sometimes we feel like we can win, conquer the world, and on the other day or moment you feel like totally drained, no energy to do anything, kind of feel like a victim. And at the effect of life situation, people, no matter what happens, there's no way to see the opportunities or solutions. There's a big sense of doubt, guilt, fear, and all sorts of stuff that actually drains us. So there's the two types of energy. So the higher we go, the more anabolic energy we have, and then more creation, more everything sits up there. That sense of intuition, connection, the non-judgment, objectivity, and all that good stuff that we would love to have to empower us to use our full potential. With that, there are 7 levels of energy. And so I've kind of described the type. So the first two are the catabolic ones. So the first one is being a victim. So you really feel like you are a loser. You always doubt, think like, why bother? I'm not good enough. All that gremlin work telling you you're not good enough. Something happens, plenty of reasons why not. So basically get in that state of total lack of engagement and inaction, kind of the state before the depression and the burnout. So if a person is too long in the catabolic energy, like I mentioned, physically it drains. That's why people actually get sick, you know, and it all starts in here. Funny enough, everything starts with the thoughts. So then you go to the level 2, which is by taking action and a little bit of kind of feeling, okay, I can do it. You get into the fighting antagonist mode, and it's all about, I want to win. It's very competitive. It's more a state of conflict and anger and frustration. You feel like, okay, let's blame someone, or I can do it because someone can't do it better. It's really good because there are possible pluses and minuses on every level, believe it or not. It's really good to hit the deadlines, to get people do what they have to do in order to deliver certain results. It's very performance driven. There's one thing about the performance drive. It's all great to check the marks, but if you are burning yourself out and everyone else in the long term, it's not really going to be constructive. And so then we move into the anabolic states by taking the responsibility, by really evaluating, do you really have to win or lose? Are there any other opportunities out there? Start forgiving self and others, a bit less judgment as well, a bit less self-focus, like poor me and I have to win. So you kind of get out there into that slightly more conscious circle and getting into that self-mastery thing by taking responsibility. So the problem there is that people are sitting there for too long with their coping tolerating mechanism. They think, well, I have hired this person or I have married this man and it's good enough. It's not working, but I'm going to make it work. So that sense of responsibility, and this can lead you to stay in there for a long time, but eventually you deep inside, you know, there's something wrong. So if you don't address those feelings, at the end of the day, everything, thought, feelings, actions, don't address the feelings, you're going to get drained as well, and you tap right into the negative ones. Then we go into the level 4, being a helper, more concerned for others, and it's all about compassion, gratitude. And as you know, when you're sitting in that catabolic state and you feel sorry for yourself, what does help is when you start helping other people. So your energy shifts up and it's less about you and it's more about others. And as a result, you also feel better, feel more fulfilled. And there's that deeper sense of connection with other people and yourself. The only thing is there, if you don't do self-care, and a lot of people, especially in the time of crisis or in a family situation, they give and they give, and then they also drain, or either they lose too much energy and they feel like they're not getting back, or they get into that state of anger that, well, I'm doing all that stuff and you're not appreciating, you know, and you get into that catabolic thing again. And then there is this beautiful state of collaborator and opportunist at the level 5, where we both win. It's all about finding solutions. It's all about the opportunities. Opportunities are actually everywhere all the time. But with all the other levels, we kind of feel blocked and we don't see them and we don't want to see them, or we're not confident and we have all that fear telling us stuff. So at that state, it's really more about peace and calm and confidence. And that sense of fulfillment kicks in because you're actually doing great stuff. You're getting into the less judgment and to closer to your intuition. You know you're not alone and you're collaborating with everybody. And that state of focus on the opportunities and you just know what's right, right? Lots of entrepreneurs leave there, lots of people that come up with great ideas. The negative thing there, when you come up with too many ideas and you see too many opportunities, you might actually lose focus and also drive everybody else crazy. So like I said, every level has advantages and disadvantages, and using it to your advantage is very important. Like at level 1, you're a victim, you're in total apathy, you don't want to do anything. Guess what? Someone else is going to do it for you, right? So depending on the situation one is in, whether it's a workplace or a home place, recognizing it is very important. And then we get to the 6, which is more a visionary and a connector, because you connect to self and others, and it's all about the sense of everybody always wins. It's not about possession, it's not about the need to have, and it's not about proving anything to anybody. It's really that I am you, I understand you, we're connected. It's that sense of joy and fearlessness, the wisdom, and that flow. That state of flow when you are in your zone, you're doing stuff, you don't even know how you come up with this great thing. Don't notice the time, and you're not caring much about someone else's opinions. And that's where that genius lives. That all these great Teslas and Apples, they come out of that state of just creation. And that's beautiful, and that's where you're really connected to the intuition, which we all have. So tapping more into those energies are really great and constructive and building. And the 7th one is not necessarily a constant physical state. Is a state of creator. It's that total enlightenment and transcendence, the place where there's no judgment, and that's what really helps people. If you don't think what's good or bad, right or wrong, there's no judgment of self, others, in the situation, life is not as difficult as we think it is. So that's the place of absolute passion and the focus on everything and nothing. That's where basically time is an illusion, because we have time. The question is, how do we actually use it, right? And that's that state of genius and total connection to kind of like a 5th dimension, if people know the world of Joe Dispenza and his work. You can tap into it in meditation or lucid dreaming or getting into that absolute passion state. So those are the 7 levels. And as mentioned, there's no good or bad. We do tend to fluctuate in any given moment in time. And it's up to us to recognize where we're at and shift it by taking the thoughts and actions of the level higher.
Interesting. Which is going to be my question, is how I or you or anyone can take action to move to the next energy level. Understanding it, I think, is very important, but then being able to do that. So let's just dig in a little bit more to that, about the thoughts, taking on the thoughts. So maybe you can give an example or explain a little bit more, moving maybe from 4 to 5 or 5 to 6. How do you adapt those thoughts of the next level?
Certainly. Well, we can't jump too many levels up. So it's really 2 levels at a time that we can, but it can be done in split seconds if you're aware. So it's really like, for instance, when it starts with feeling like a victim, like current situation, it's not my fault COVID happens. It's not my fault. I can't do anything about it, right? So question is, it's handy to ventilate and express and acknowledge the feelings and thoughts behind it, and then thinking, how can you reframe questions like, how true is it, what is the reality? And there's a difference between being true and the truth, because the truth are the facts that don't have the emotion assigned to it, because emotion is then becoming our perceptions and our assumptions and all the stuff, all the limiting beliefs, because we think it's true. But it's like set of glasses, you put the pink glasses, you see the world pink. You put the level 1 glasses, you see the world as a victim. You see the world through the lens of being an opportunist, and you see opportunities everywhere, because there are. Question is, how can you take them? Who can help you to take them? Things like that. Looking at those blocks. So we have those big blocks being the limiting beliefs, assumptions, interpretations, and fears. Funny thing about fears, and it's a big talk those days, because of course we're so fearful of everything. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It doesn't exist in the present moment. It's just that projection of the future, which actually will never come, but it blocks us from performing our best in the moment. And that's where we tap into that catabolic energy. We're not confident, we're not tapping on our experience that we already have, because we actually can do, but with all this stuff in our heads, it just drains us right down. What also helps is recognizing what affects our energy, because anything can in any given moment. Like I say, you can go up and down in any moment in time. You can think, technology doesn't work. Of course, you tap into your catabolic victim mode. Okay, so now the question is, what can you do? What is up to your control? So we can't control anything but ourselves and our reactions to it. And that's where the thoughts actually help. So what else? Identifying those emotions and controlling them, taking responsibilities and thinking, what can I actually do in the moment? And what are the learnings? Because at the level 5, for instance, it's all about learning and everything is an opportunity, because it's either you win or you learn. There's no failure actually per se. It's all about continuous improvement. So learning is your benefit. So what can I learn, or what have I learned from before? So from 1, you get into action. You say, okay, how can I do it? What can I do? Then you take the responsibility. You see who you can cooperate with and who can you help. You go into the 4, start seeing the opportunities, whether they're learnings or business ideas or whatever, who to collaborate with. You get into the 5. And then connecting to your passion and to your intuition, whether it is by painting or drawing or running or whatever, you connect to the 6 and you have that sense of total bliss and flow, etc. And from there up, you only go up to transcendence, and not entirely a physical state, but a beautiful place to dig into. And that's more or less sort of the tools, like thinking not from the lose, I win perspective, but what else is out there. So that 5D, 5-dimensional world, it's not just what we see, because energy attracts like energy, and we are all energy. And the higher you go, the better productivity you have, because you're in that moment, you're fully connected, and you have more energy and you have more creativity and that sense of intuition, that flow where you can come up with a genius thing in a minute. You don't need to work on it for hours. It's a limiting belief, lots of limiting beliefs, like I have to have an education to have a business, or I need to work hard to have money, or whatever. All limiting beliefs. And what actually helps also as a tool, create your own rules. What rules actually serve me? I don't care about the society. It's not about the society, it's about me. What rules serve me? Do those limiting beliefs and fears actually help me to perform my very best and be at that higher energy or not? And if not, why carry it on you? It's that luggage that just drains you down.
So these are all very helpful for it in the moment, maybe catching yourself at a 1 or 2 and wanting to move up. And so I just want to spend a little bit more time on maybe a habit or 2 that you have used or have advised your clients to use that would kind of strengthen that energy elevation muscle, so that this is very natural and they recognize it sooner and they know how to take that action out of habit, as opposed to the, I can picture first time I would go through this exercise, it would be a lot of work in here, right? Because I'm just getting used to this energy management concept. But over time, it would be helpful to instill some healthy habits that support that. So what would some of those be?
Definitely, it's a very good question. Thank you. So, like I mentioned, there are different influences that influence our energy, and it's important to recognize those. For example, the spiritual one. Are you in alignment with your mission and your values? Whether it is what you do in your work, with the people that you communicate, etc. Are you living to your goals? Because if you're feeling like you're not, that drains you, and you start doubting yourself and you get into the victim mode, or you get into that level 3 of tolerance, it's good enough. I'm here. I've worked so hard to be here, but is that really me? Is this what I really want? So asking yourself a question, is that what I really want in life and my work? That's very important. The mental influencer, are you stretching yourself too thin, or is this task too challenging or too boring or whatever? Now lots of people had to change their career perspective, their education, maybe to change the job or find the job because COVID cut down lots of opportunities, and that's mentally also draining. And people have to choose, do they have clarity? Are they present in the moment? And so you detect that, and you connect with that thought, and you also connect with how do you feel about it, because it's perfectly normal to be at the level 1 when you have all that stuff going on. Now the question is, what are you going to do about it? Well, working with the therapist, if you're very on a low level, unless you want to get into a depression, is very important, or with the coach to change your perception and look at all the blocks that are blocking you towards your goal. Physical influences, we working in the apartment or in the house versus coming to the office every day. Do you have a really nice environment that is fitting your optimal functioning? Because at the end of the day, it's all about how we function. Are we in our most optimal state? Same with social, not being able to see people or even touch people, that also affects our everything. So, and environmental influences, well, are we in the optimal conditions, like this technology, clothing, sounds, heating, whatever? So recognizing this is very important. That's part of the thing. And if you feel like okay, I'm not motivated to do anything, now the question is, are you connected with your core goals? Do you think you have to do it, or do you want to do it? And that's very important. Now we're getting into a complete different question of goal setting and achieving those, and are they coming from the right energy level that want to? Because if you have to, you're not fully engaged. The question is, are you benefiting from doing something? And the core energy goals is, what emotions are you going to get out of it when achieving that goal? And that's very important. And that sense of continuous improvement and learning and being the best version of yourself. If that's what drives you to achieve those goals versus, hitting KPIs and doing those performance indicators, it's a different energy. It's really that higher energy.
That's great. Thank you. I think that's really helpful to take it to the next level. A lot of different suggestions there. Believe it or not, it's already time for us to wrap up. And I know that you have a fairly comprehensive answer to this next question, which is totally fine. I usually ask our speakers to wrap up with one single action, and you're going to tell us a little bit more than that. So go right ahead.
Well, if I had to choose one, I would say elevating and shifting your energy level. And if I go deeper, dreaming big is very important. Like I said, there is more to it than what meets the eye. There's more out there, and we're all capable of achieving and reaching our dreams and goals. It's important to understand what gives you energy. I talked a lot about what drains your energy, but it's also about what gives you energy, those passions, the things that you like to do, whether it's the music, the running, the people, whatever, the dreaming, things that give you energy, hold on to them. And the other ones, need to minimize those, right? So feel it and create your own rules. I've already talked about it, nothing new there. Very important to do what serves you. And what helps is the non-judgment. We judge ourselves so much. Are we doing it right? We're not good enough. I'm disappointed with my actions or whatever. Too much expectations don't really help. So that state of higher energy of non-judgment, it's not good or bad. It's just about it is, and you can do better in that continuous improvement thing. So that takes the pressure of the people, and becoming an observer in a situation rather than a participant. So it's not just about reacting, but it's really about observing and recognizing what is, how true is it really.
Yeah, that's great. All right, thank you for that. And also, thank you for your free gift. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly. Well, there is a free assessment that you can get from me. And it's beautiful because you can really look at the whole wheel of life, where you at and where you want to get. And like I said, it's in your hands to make your dreams come true, and I'm here to support you, and we can schedule the session to go over it. So request an assessment, and you'll have it to work on your dreams and your goals, and on those blocks that's standing between where you are now and where you want to be.
Excellent. That's a wonderful gift, very appropriate for what you've been talking about today. And finally, what is the best way to keep in touch with you?
Well, I'm here. You can find on my website all my contacts. It's contact lifebydesign-academy.com. You can call me directly. You'll have all the details to contact me: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. And on the website, you can also have a lot of new updates and free master tools that you can just do yourself to elevate your energy and to resolve any challenges you have. So if you are a self-learner, it's a great place for you to enjoy and have fun.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you everyone for joining us today. As always, for these wonderful insights. This has been a great talk. Please check out the other speakers in the series so you can find out more ways to get out of your own way. I also invite you to join my free Facebook group, Ambitious Accountability Ambassadors. I hope to see you there. Thanks again.